Hello, Joe. Can you
Good afternoon.
hear
Good
my voice?
afternoon, good afternoon.
Halo, halo. Apa
Can you
kabar?
now, apakah
Yes,
baik, baik, apa kabar?
baik, baik.
Baik,
Alhamdulillah. Oke. Senang sekali saya bisa gabung nih, Mas Joe. Amazing feeling.
Likewise.
Kenana ya.
thank you so much for joining us. Obrigado.
Obrigado,
Um,
nada também.
First, let me allow you to introduce myself. I'm Muhammad Reza. I'm the program coordinator of CAC Academy, a part of Good News from Indonesia. And Mr. Ahyari Hananto is my boss, my colleague, my friend, my mentor, my everything, my hero as well. And heroes, yeah, and both of you are heroes, especially in the media and journalism industry in Southeast Asia, Indonesia, and Timor Leste, to be very precise. And today we'll be talking about the growing importance of ASEAN in Southeast Asia region and also the neighboring countries and on the global stage. As we highlighted earlier on some of the issues and challenges and key points that we can, of course, discuss. And I would like to hear the views and perspectives of the two of you regarding those issues and challenges. First, again, Mr. Jao de Cruz Cardoso, obrigado. Thank you for joining us all the way from Dili, Timor-Leste. I believe it is now 2 hours ahead of Jakarta. I'm in Jakarta. Mr. Ahyari Hananto is in Surabaya. Both of us is in the Western Indonesia time. So you are our future because you're +2 hours. So 2 hours ahead. So you
Yes.
are our future. So you are our future, our hope, our dream. So you
Is
can tell
it-
us what is going to happen to the humanity in the future. So in the next 2 hours, are we still living or are we somewhere, yeah, in the middle of, yeah, this um, ever challenging and ever how to say that, like it's getting more chaotic, or the academicians or the scholars would say it's VUCA world. It's vulnerable and it's unpredictable and chaotic, of course. It's creating a lot of anxiety in that sense. But of course, by having this sort of Southeast Asian association, will try to reduce and minimize those anxiety and uncertainty as well in that sense, because we have already now 10 member states, and hopefully you can share about the plan or your hope, your dreams about Timor-Leste joining ASEAN in the near foreseeable future. So without further ado, I would like to give this opportunity to you to sort of express or to share your views on. I believe the two of you joined the media summit in Laos in Vientiane a few weeks ago. So probably we can start from there. Your experiences and your views regarding the media summit. What did you find, and what was your personal experience? Mr. Zhao, the time is yours.
All right. Thank you once again. Hello.
Yeah, we can hear
Can
you perfectly.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you once again for the opportunity. I think it's a pleasure to be here. And after our meeting in Laos, now we are discussing about ASEAN and its importance to the region and also to the world. I think it's very interesting. ASEAN has done well for the region, and also because I think so far it is the fifth largest economy in the world, and I think it is home for about more than 650 million populations, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, about 30% of it is within the 15 to 34 age bracket, and I think that is an opportunity for further growth. My experience in Laos, first let me talk about it, is that there is a positive, means that there is a concern not only about improving the connectivity and integration within ASEAN, but also ASEAN connectivity to the world, right? But another thing is also to look at the threat, the risk for the what I call it growing disconnectivity. Because first thing first, I think we have a big five in ASEAN, right? So you have Singapore, you have Indonesia, you have Malaysia, you have Thailand, and you have the Philippines, and then you have lesser developed ASEAN members. Yes, so there is a different level of development, and I can see that when Indonesia led the chairmanship last year, there is a sense of leadership, the exert its authority that, ASEAN is going to be this, ASEAN is going to be that, ASEAN is going to be take the centrality, but when you go into like Laos, there is less, they are less, you don't see the confidence to take the leadership. So I see the risk is to address this disparity, and so I think the question raised during the forum was that rather than discussing about connectivity and with Timor-Leste's new member and connecting them, how about also maintaining the connectivity within the already existing members, right? So, for example, Myanmar. Now, from Timor-Leste looking in, Timor-Leste is not yet a full member. It is still an observer. One of the main objectives for Timor-Leste is to tap into that ASEAN market. So it hopes that by tapping into that market, it can help itself to develop its economy. Plus, with geographical proximity, it is easier to this, especially for ASEAN, to mobilize the resources to help, let's say, a private sector in Timor-Leste to grow. And when the private sector grow, it will help the economic activities to take place, and the countries can develop in that way. And another one is that I think ASEAN can provide that stable platform for Timor-Leste to navigate through the complexity of now the world politics, right? The competing influence of two major powers, world powers, like the United States and China. So with Timor-Leste being part of ASEAN, it can give that a stable platform for a small country like Timor-Leste to navigate through the world politics. So I see the threat for ASEAN is within ASEAN itself. If ASEAN cannot come to a common understanding, common vision about why ASEAN is there in the first place, and to iron out the differences and the sense of superiority within the existing members, I think that is the bigger threat, especially when you address the issues, ASEAN's interrelations when addressed the South China Sea disputes, look at the positions on Myanmar, and also look at the issue in the Mekong River. I think these are the most threat. But in terms of, because it opens the doors for the major world powers to exert their influence, because when its members is actually looking at its own interests rather than the collective one.
That's a very interesting perspectives. I mean, not only that you are providing us with a what you have observed during the summit as you attended the event a few weeks ago, but also the perspectives as Timorese on the stance or position or what ASEAN can offer to a state like Timor-Leste in that sense. So now let's hear what Mr. Akhir Hananto, the founder of Good News from Indonesia, say about his experiences or his observation when he attended the summit. Mr. Akhir.
Well, thank you so much. And first of all, thank you, Yao, for joining this season. We are being watched by over 2,000 people at this moment across all platforms. And first of all, I would like to say congratulations to you and all Timor-Leste people. I would say that Timor-Leste will be integral part of ASEAN in a matter of weeks, maybe months, or at least 1 year, and it should be officially the 11th member of ASEAN. You know, Timor-Leste upcoming membership in ASEAN is a significant development because it brings a lot of opportunities for ASEAN. For example, Timor-Leste is ranking high in terms of democratic index. You know, far ahead of Indonesia. You know, Timor-Leste is number 2 in the region after Malaysia. In terms of press freedom, Timor-Leste is ahead of everybody else in Southeast Asia. It ranks ranking number 20 in the world, and it's far ahead of Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, and etc. You know, I think political wise, the commitment to democracy could strengthen, ASEAN values, and it's very important at this moment. And also, like Jao said, that we are in the middle of a very tense geopolitical challenges worldwide within the United States and China, and Timor-Leste offers a very unique positions because of its very flexible and dynamic relationship with both parties. Uh, I think also in terms of overall, we should also feel that the joining of Timor-Leste will be, an investment for ASEAN. It is so much untapped potential in sector like agriculture, tourism, fisheries, and I think ASEAN expertise and investment could help them diversify and grow their economy. I think that's the thing. Other than economy, Timor-Leste is doing really, really well. And ASEAN can look up to Timor-Leste in terms of democracy, social values, social bonds, and press freedom. That's what I see. And politically, Timor-Leste is still very young democracy. And I think we can see from here, from far from Indonesia, that it has a very strong commitment to human rights, a very strong commitment to good governance. Many countries in Southeast Asia need to learn, in that sense, from Timor-Leste. That's from me.
Thank you so much. Before we continue on to the next question or point, I would like to say hi to our viewers and followers on Good News from Indonesia platform and Good News from Southeast Asia platform in Indonesia and other Southeast Asian countries, including Timor-Leste. If you have any questions, don't hesitate, just type in your question on the comment section, and then we'll read that out. And you can ask any questions to Mr. Joel or Mr. Akhir Hananto. Any question regarding ASEAN or Indonesia or Timor-Leste. But now let's move on to the next question. It's quite interesting. How can ASEAN foster a more integrated and inclusive digital economy across member states, addressing disparities in infrastructure and digital literacy, while promoting cross-border e-commerce and innovation? So, for example, how can Indonesia and Timor-Leste strengthen the digital economy or the e-commerce? For example, if you are ordering something online from Indonesia and then in Kupang, then it will be shipped to Dili, and then vice versa. We are people in Kupang ordering something online from Dili, and then it will be shipped to Kupang. So who would like to express their views on this? Mr.
Well,
Zhao, please.
Yes, very, very interesting questions. There are a lot of issues you mentioned there. I think as a young country, we have a lot of catch up to do. So first, I think before we start to discuss about the infrastructure, it's about digitalizations, about connectivity, we need to discuss the very basics, the human resources, right? So we need to discuss about that now for Timor-Leste, because we just emerged from conflict. I think now 25 years old. I know many people will say it's no longer new, but now an adult country, so it should be able to reach that level where it can actually connect to its neighbors near and far at the same level. But development is a very difficult thing to achieve. When we got our independence, we had a very low literacy rate, right? And then the country focus on, let's say, bringing about stability, learn how to self-govern, and then how to address the poverty, right? And even today, we still address that poverty. So with these challenges, and I think not just in Timor-Leste, but also in different, some countries in ASEAN, current member of ASEAN, let's say Myanmar, Laos, Cambodia, they have different challenges compared to other more developed countries. So then what we need to do? I think first is that Timor-Leste already buy into the idea of ASEAN. You know, we believe that Timor-Leste is ready to take part, to become a member. Why? First, of course, Timor-Leste still has a very limited, not just basic infrastructure, right? To meet the requirements of ASEAN, but it's look at the objective of ASEAN is to help one of its members to develop itself by bringing in the necessary support, the technically how, the technology, the human resource necessary to invest in the key sectors, so that to support its members to grow, at least not at the same level, but at the level minimum required for the country to be what I call the productive member of the bloc, right? So it is almost impossible to expect Timor-Leste to reach that level as other member of ASEAN, because we are way behind, right? We are now like ASEAN, the current members are running, we are still crawling. So that's why it is not fair to have Timor-Leste at that level needed. I remember, I think 2022 and 2023, I think 2022, there was a roadmap for Timor-Leste to fulfill before being admitted to become a member of ASEAN. Unfortunately, some of those criteria in the roadmap, it takes years to achieve. To build infrastructure in a very democratic governance is not easy, because you need to also not just look at the environmental, but also you look at the social aspect. You know, when you start to have this project, how does it affect the community who live there? How do you resettle those people? How do you provide conditions that is with dignity for those people when you remove them from their site? So this whole process takes time. And that's why I always believe that to admit Timor-Leste as a full member, it's not about meeting those technical criteria, but rather the political consensus from the current member of ASEAN. So I think, you know, Timor-Leste, like already mentioned, provide a unique opportunities. We are a very young country, but our democracy is growing to a level that is, I think, to be the best in Southeast Asia. And this is something that we always strive to always maintain and proud of, because for a country to be truly achieve that level of development is to make sure that its people are free to express themselves, free to participate in the democratic process of governance, free to loud their voice, to hold their leaders accountable. I think this is what I mean. Freedom is all about. But we also admit that with that, we also question ourselves, what does it mean, freedom of expression or democracy, if it doesn't translate into development that improve the well-being of our citizens. I think this is a challenge. So that's why first thing, we Timor-Leste to be able to integrate with fully integrate with ASEAN, and to look at that opportunities for trade, for digital connectivity. Timor-Leste needs to provide condition, means improve its human resources, right? Improve its infrastructure and technology before fully, how do we say, maximize the advantage that benefit that ASEAN can bring to its development.
Interesting. We're on the same page on that. I mean, like, I agree with what you've said earlier about the inclusion of Timor-Leste into the ASEAN membership. I think it's a matter of political consensus and willingness of all the member states to accept Timor-Leste to be a part of the association itself. But before continuing to that, let's hear from Mr. Ahiari on this particular issue.
Yeah, it is important to highlight that ASEAN is one of the world's fastest growing digital economies. This means that Timor-Leste can gain access not just to its closest neighbor, which is Indonesia, but also to broader ASEAN digital landscape with its 650 million populations, customers. And I think according to Google, it is projected that in 2025, ASEAN digital community will reach 330 billion US dollar. That is really, really large. And I think this presents a very significant opportunity for Timor-Leste to integrate into regional value chains and attract investment from other ASEAN members, considering your very young populations, growing and dynamic societal institution and such. Also, in the context of Indonesia, your very close neighbor, Indonesia has been the strongest supporter of Timor-Leste inclusion into ASEAN, and we would like to also support further. For example, we have one of the most dynamic and one of the most progressive digital economy in ASEAN. We have the most number of unicorns. Our digital economy size is far larger than anybody else. I think in 2025, we will reach 160 billion US dollars in terms of digital economy alone. And also, Indonesia can offer many others, like, for example, scholarship and training programs, and also Indonesian fintechs like maybe GoTo or OVO can introduce innovative solutions to Timor-Leste, promoting, like, for example, financial inclusions. Also, we have a super large startup like Tokopedia or Shopee that can provide Timor-Leste business, particularly the SMEs, and with access to massive regional market within ASEAN. That is possible. That is being made possible by this current technology. Other than that, I also highlight what is being discussed just now by my friend Zhao about how Timor-Leste is still lagging behind other ASEAN countries, in particular the ASEAN Big Five. Let's see it the other way around. With the booming technology, I think Timor-Leste can catch up and accelerate the running. You say you are crawling. You can run now because of the technology. For example, we have AI. AI can do anything. AI can do what the Americans do. AI can do what the Japanese can do. AI will do what the brightest man can do. Timor-Leste can do as such. But first, you have to address several things, like you say, for example, bridging the connectivity gap. You know, I'm sure in terms of poverty, yes, Indonesia also have poverty also, but our economy, our digital economy, our digital landscape is growing and very dynamic. I think Timor-Leste can do as such also even better, considering your sexy size of populations. Bridging the connectivity gap is first. Number two is the digital gap. Digital gap that is not only the speed of the internet and such. For example, Jao can subscribe to ChatGPT Premium, for example. But many people in Timor-Leste can do that. You know, they can only access the basic one. That's still different. How to address that? The government can interfere to it. Also, AI can also enhance public service, promoting financial inclusion, and also again, this will take you on par with any other advanced economy in ASEAN, and that's how this will work in 2025 onwards. Trust me, if Timor-Leste is integral part of ASEAN, maybe next year, I don't know. You know, we'll see a lot of difference. And I'm the first thing to do when Timor-Leste is already in ASEAN as the 11th member of ASEAN, I will fly with Reza directly to Delhi and congratulate you personally. You know.
We will, yeah.
Looking forward to receive you in Delhi.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think let's take out the word digital out of the equation. Like talking about the economy between Indonesia and Timor-Leste. I think I've got a friend who's got family in Atambua and Kupang. They told me, and she told me, usually during the annual festivities or holiday seasons, like this one, like Christmas or New Year's and things like that, a lot of people come in from Delhi all the way to Kupang, and then they shop a lot from the shopping centers in Kupang, and then vice versa. Like people from Kupang and from East Nusa Tenggara, they are going to Timor-Leste to buy some agricultural produce like fruits and vegetables, and they are, you know, buying bulks and a lot of vegetables and fruits, a lot of clothes from both sides. So I mean, like that alone will improve and strengthen the economic partnership between Indonesia and Timor-Leste. Without Timor-Leste having to include or being a member of ASEAN, but let alone you are being a member of ASEAN, it's going to give you not only the economic impact, but also the financial, the business impacts, and a lot more on that stuff. And then talking about flying from Jakarta to Delhi, I think Delhi has always been on my bucket list, probably since 10 years ago. I've got some friends who was from Delhi. He was studying in Yogyakarta, and then I met some people from Timor-Leste in Bangkok and in South Korea a few years ago. And then since then, they always invited me to please come to Delhi. And then 10 years ago, believe it or not, we still needed visa to go to Timor-Leste. And then it was visa on, I think, e-visa, visa on arrival. And now I think we can go to Timor-Leste without visa. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is that still the case, Mr. Zhao or Mr. Ahyari?
I think so.
Passport holder. Yeah. So
should be fine now. Yeah.
So in the last 10 years alone, it says something that our bilateral partnership in terms of immigration laws and policy, it has changed. It has shifted to a much better situation. So without going too far on that, I think let's go to the next question. How can ASEAN, if Timor-Leste were to be the member of ASEAN in the near future, leverage its collective strength in the digital economy to compete on the global stage with major players like the US and China? And then to add to what the two of you had mentioned earlier about the use of AI, fintech, and then cybersecurity, do you think Indonesia and Timor-Leste can sort of compete with the bigger players in the region like Japan, South Korea, and China? Mr. Jha.
Look, as I mentioned before, the future trend is ASEAN. You know, You can already see that due to attractive tax rate, low labor costs, and also young populations with high digital literacy. The future is here in ASEAN. So all this US, China, they start to bring the businesses to ASEAN. I think part of Apple is now moving to Vietnam. So it's rather the question is not how to compete with like US or China, but how to maintain, improve the ability for ASEAN to absorb all this opportunity comes its way. You know what I mean? So because with its vast, like not just geographic locations or but it's culturally rich. It's so diverse. It provides unique opportunity. You can see like the opportunity in tourism sector is huge. I visited Bali in late 2021. It was definitely, I don't want to say dead, but there was not much activities, and suddenly all these tourists visit the city, and the economy is picking up so fast. Look at Bangkok. It was affected by the pandemic, but suddenly it's picking up so fast. Laos now receives a lot of visitors. So in that already gives you a lot of potential for ASEAN. But like I mentioned before, now ASEAN needs to leverage its connectivity and integration among itself to iron out its differences. I think that there is still a sense of suspicions between just my assumption is that, so that's why there is a fear that each individual country will improve its own like bilateral relation, let's say cooperation with China or cooperation with the US, rather than looking at the ASEAN as a whole. So there is all these suspicions because sometimes many empires they collapse because of the internal friction first before actually the outside force exerts its influence. So unless ASEAN can see the potential to be one cohesive unit, and that what it can do so much to actually elevate each other before thinking about competing with, because the business come its way, right? In my writing, I always discuss about development should be driven from within. So we need to prepare ourselves, provide conditions necessary to absorb all the, now the world is mixing, right? The economy is already interconnected. If you start to have the condition necessary, you are agile enough, you are adaptable enough, your young population is growing to be, looking at everything's in the cloud. And I think ASEAN don't need to worry about competing with US, or because it has its own needs. Like with all this tourism, you cannot duplicate that in other countries because ASEAN, because countries has its own unique culture and land, so I don't see ASEAN worries about competing with US or China, but just worry about how to improve itself to absorb all the opportunities come its way.
Interesting point of view, Mr. Zhao. Thank you. Mr. Harry, what's your take on
it's very interesting indeed. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Zhao, for your perspective. It's very insightful. I would say that ASEAN has a real chance to shine here in global digital stage. But of course, we need to do some strategic approach. First is collaboration is key, like Mr. Zhao said earlier. We must foster knowledge sharing within ASEAN, and I think it's been done, but still in a very limited and sporadic way. Perhaps joint research focus on AI or fintechs, or by facilitating talent exchanges between our, hubs here in ASEAN. For example, imagine in ASEAN we have 4 big players in digital economy. Singapore, Indonesia, Thailand, and Vietnam. For example, these four, create in a collaboration on, for example, cybersecurity solutions or developing AI for agriculture. This kind of regional synergy can accelerate, innovation and build a stronger and more competitive ecosystem. And second, we should play our stand, just like what Mr. Zhao said. We are very unique. ASEAN has a very unique advantage in areas like, for example, agriculture. AI for agriculture, that will be very new, given to our large agricultural sector and has a pressing need for climate smart solutions. Also, for example, fintech solutions for micro and SMEs, which is backbones of many ASEAN economies like Indonesia, Thailand, Laos, Timor-Leste, Philippines. Third is attracting investment is also crucial. I think we are doing well in that, which is still very, huge gap between countries. For Indonesia and Singapore has the most investment for digital technological landscape compared to other countries. And of course, the last one is our people. We have to develop our talents. We have to, utilize our young populations. We are already seeing that into, vibrant startup scenes in several countries. We have one of the largest startup in Asia like Grab, GoTo, Shopee, and other things. To add some perspective for our discussion, we have a young populations. So Asia is the world largest internet user base, the third world largest internet user base, with over 400 million people online, for example. Number two, this is very interesting. Southeast Asia is a very mobile first region. We don't do laptop a lot. We do mobile. It is far ahead of many other regions. I think our internet penetration is already 80% now. And the third one is we have a rapidly growing startup systems. Like I said before, several times in Southeast Asia is home to several growing startup ecosystem, and it's not only building startup, but also developing it, and it has a huge impact to the economy, huge impact for the society, huge impact for the social inclusions. That's what's happening in ASEAN, and that can be replicated elsewhere in other countries in ASEAN. And the last one, I think, is one of the most important. In the US, startups, if you have a startup, you will not get any support from the government. No, it's on your own. Government can only give you incentive or such. But in ASEAN, government is is one of the integral part in developing a digital economy. This includes initiative that ASEAN Digital Master Plan in 2025, which I and Zhao discussed in Laos several days ago, which aim to create a more integrated and interconnected digital market through our governments. That is something we have to look forward to, and I think from that point of view, Timor-Leste can gain a lot of ASEAN's large digital ecosystem. Yeah.
That's quite interesting. Again, the perspective on, like, let's take out the factor of competition with other big players in the region, but instead, like, we look inside ourselves, we look inside our countries, and ASEAN in the region, what we can do together to sort of improve and accelerate our economic development and human development and things like that. It's really mind-blowing. I mean, the trend is probably heading towards that kind of, it's going to shift towards that kind of policy or directives. But let's move to the next question. It's getting more challenging. How can ASEAN maintain its centrality and unity in navigating the increasingly complex geopolitical landscape, particularly in managing tensions between major powers like the US and China, as you mentioned earlier, Mr. Zhao, how we can actually playing the balance the balanced scorecard, in ASEAN without siding to the US, without siding to the Chinese government, or so who would like to share their perspectives, Mr. Zhao?
Yes. Well, that is a big question, isn't it? With
It is,
this
yeah.
growing influence from these major powers, who have thought that Soviet Unions would collapse in the 90s, and then China suddenly emerged to be this economic powerhouse in the world. And I think first question, this ASEAN centrality has been the key discussion. How can ASEAN influence well, how do you say, world politics to maintain the regional stability and peace, right? And I think that's a very important, because without stability and peace, economic development is hard to be achieved. Now that's one. Second one is that I think to maintain that centrality and to be an influential bloc, you need to question also ASEAN, the ASEAN way, right? Non-interference. We what we call soft diplomacy, and that becomes the questions of ASEAN centrality itself. Let's say our ASEAN so far has not been able to, how do you say, address issues in Myanmar, right? So it opens door for external influence, particularly major power like China. Yeah. Second one, internal relations between ASEAN countries. Look at the issues related to South China Sea, right? It involves a few countries, ASEAN countries, and each country is actually suspicious of each other, because there is no like a block, like a principle in discussing with China, let's say, on that issues, because China has a major claim on that, and that's why countries like the Philippines start to hang on. It looks to me that other members are not supporting my claim here, so I'm going to forge relations with, let's say, other major power like the US. So far, it's I don't say it like it doesn't work, but it has worked, because ASEAN has able to maintain peace and no major conflict between ASEAN members. Even though internal conflict like in Myanmar, it's something that ASEAN tried to solve it by what we call a soft diplomacy, quiet way of going out there and discuss with leaders, relevant authorities in Myanmar to solve it. So maintaining this centrality, first, ASEAN has to be clear and has to be consistent in its position. There has to be a common position in addressing major issues that affect ASEAN as a bloc. You cannot, have a point of view from one country differ from another country, and that there is no position from ASEAN. That is, it gives out mixed signals, and it doesn't give the confidence from ASEAN itself to shows its centrality. Of course, ASEAN has been wise in a sense that maintaining that neutrality, not to favor US over China, but maintain neutrality and doing business with both countries, which I think is the right way to go about, because in the end, it's not about pick and choose. It's not about picking sides, but it's about working together, cooperation between countries that actually can ensure the sustainability of peace in the world. So ASEAN has been doing it right.
All right. So
Yes.
the keyword is not taking sides on any blocks.
Yes.
All right. So, Mr. Ahyari, what's your take on
Yeah.
this?
I think this is very interesting question and very interesting response from Chow. And the way you portray Philippines and how we treat Myanmar's case is really what is the challenges lies in ASEAN. But I think maintaining ASEAN's centrality is, I think, now is more crucial than ever, given the complex geopolitical landscape happening today. And I think I'm talking like the ASEAN stuff here, but I think our strength lies in the ASEAN way, which is a unique approach for non-interference, consensus building, and peaceful resolutions. That's what we have been doing in ASEAN, and I think in that way, ASEAN is successful. That has some challenges also, but let's talk about that in another Zoom meeting. But I think first of all, we have actually some existing regional mechanism. For example, the ASEAN Regional Forum, the East Asia Summit. It provides platforms for dialogues and cooperation on security issues. I think we should enhance that activity. The platform is there, but we really need to utilize those platforms even better. Secondly, I think this has been done by our leaders, ASEAN leaders, that we have engaged with major powers, China, of course, Russia even, and US, EU, and other Middle East powers. And I think that has been done, and I think it's been clear, being stated by our ASEAN leader, that we resist the pressures of taking sides, and I think we maintain the continuous dialogue and cooperation. Thirdly, also why we have to maintain the centrality of ASEAN. This is also very interesting. This year alone, 4 ASEAN members has been officially become the partner of BRICS. The Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Korea. It's four ASEAN powers has been part of that, and I think next year it will be officially become the member of BRICS. Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, and Vietnam. That's big, man. It's not Laos, it's not Timor Leste, it's not Brunei. It's big powers in ASEAN. For how it will affect ASEAN centrally a lot. It will affect, of course, it will affect ASEAN centrally a lot. But how we maintain the centrality, that's still how we have to do that. ASEAN should actively still engage to those groupings, G7, BRICS, EU, MICTA, and other things. And I think one of the things that we can also reduce the tensions and strengthen the collaboration, strengthen the unity of ASEAN, is how we deepen our economic integrations. That is crucial. A strong and interconnected ASEAN economy will make us more resilient to external pressures and shocks. EU is really resilient from internal pressure because they're rich, because their economy is very strong. ASEAN is not yet to that level. This this will involve implementing the ASEAN Economic Community Blueprint in 2025, which is next year, promoting intra-ASEAN trade and investment, and strengthening regional supply chains. And I think this is last but not least, the inclusion of Timor-Leste next year, inshallah. This will really give us more power. More power to assert our centrality, to assert our neutrality, to assert our peaceful approach to these global tensions. So Timor-Leste, accelerate and join us faster than ever.
That's very interesting. Thank you. Yeah. Well, I mean, since you're from the future, you can tell us whether it will be the case. We are still in the past. We are hours behind you, so you are in the future. So yeah, Anyway, this is the last question of this afternoon. I think it's. I hope this is not the most challenging one, but what are the biggest challenges facing ASEAN in the 21st century, and how can the organization adapt and evolve to meet these challenges effectively? Like as you mentioned before, there's so many associations like the EU, the United Nations, the African Union, and so many more. And then, but how ASEAN can play a more crucial role in its ever-growing importance in the region and also on the global stage, Mr. Joel?
Well, like there is a saying, we are our own biggest enemy. And I think the biggest challenge for ASEAN is ASEAN itself, because the region itself is very diverse. And in a sense that the political culture, right, the society and the history shapes the way the country is run, actually affect how the country is building the relations with its other members of ASEAN. So, I would like to address these issues as biggest challenge for ASEAN is to maintain its cohesiveness, right? Cohesiveness, because there is now growing threats to its cohesiveness. One is issues in Myanmar. It continues to become an issue for ASEAN. Second is now about this South China Sea, right? It's going to affect the way ASEAN members talk to each other and building the trust among each other, and how they take a stand against major power like China. And third one is, of course, the Mekong River, yeah. So it involves also a few members of ASEAN, and all the upstreams is mostly dominated by China, and they start to build all the dams up there without communicating with ASEAN members downstreams. It's going to create a lot of problems for ASEAN, right? And also the one that I mentioned is very subtle. It's not something that I think others can see, but the disparity between ASEAN member itself, those with high income and those with actually growing and trying to meet its own needs, like Laos. So I think there has to be a mechanism. ASEAN has to address that there is no there should not be any inferiority among the ASEAN members. Once you take the chairmanship, it doesn't matter your level of development. You should, and other ASEAN members should follow and should take upon that the chairmanship is now leading ASEAN, and whatever is being said or they lead, they should not be made that they are a little bit inferior due to their lack of economic development, that they should feel that they don't have the influence over other main major economy in ASEAN to actually take the lead and make decisions. I think that should be addressed, even though it's very subtle. Not many can see, but ASEAN members can see that. So I think that is the biggest challenge for ASEAN, and then because that will reflect the way ASEAN, each members, deal with major powers like US and China, because each of us is now defending our own interests, and there is no sense of what is the bloc policy towards US, what is the bloc policy towards China, because suddenly you build this regional cooperation with China, like BRIC now, like already mentioned. I think it's going to affect biggest challenge is without strengthening, building on that cohesiveness now that ASEAN has. I think it's going to be the biggest challenge for ASEAN. Thank you.
Interesting. Thank you, Mr. Joe. Mr. Ahyari, what's your perspectives on this?
Yeah, thank you. This is a very interesting last question. It's very hard to pinpoint what challenges, but I think one is the geopolitical tension is not going to be calming. It's going to be tenser. For example, in recent survey by ICS Yusuf Ishak Institute in 2023, I think, they found that 63%, this is a large number, not a large figure, 63% of ASEAN responded in ASEAN view US China competition as the biggest threat to the region. And I think that is very well founded worrisome. Number two is, of course, economic disparity, like Mr. Zhao mentioned before. It's still so wide gap. For example, Laos has the population of 8 million people. Singapore has the population of 4.5 million. But the economy of Singapore, the GDP of Singapore is 21 times larger than Laos. Yeah, 21 times. If you don't believe my number, you can use your calculator. But it's true. And also, climate change is other thing that we should be worried about, and it's the challenges. I think one of the study by ASEAN Development Bank estimate that climate change could reduce, South Asian GDP by 12% by the end of the century. 12% seems little, but that's a lot. It means that we are going to be, declining in terms of overall economy. And number last one is actually the digital gap. I think we have been talking about digital, and it was a very insightful discussion. Thank you, Ms. Zhao, about this discussion. But I think we need to address carefully, and we need to accelerate how to address it is the digital gap. For example, the internet penetrations in Singapore is more than 90%. 90% of the population get the access to the internet, but in Myanmar it's less than 35%. That's the gap of it. You can think about other economic elements, but digital gap is one of the sector that need to be addressed, and that is the challenge of the 21st century in ASEAN. But I think by working together, addressing together, ASEAN can overcome these challenges, and I think by the expertise of Timor-Leste and how to progress their democracy, how Singapore developed their economy, how Indonesia, built the cohesion of the country. This can be put together into one of the strong hub of expertise of ASEAN. Only by that we can, address those challenges. Thank you, Mr. Reza.
Thank you, Mr. Ayari and Mr. Zhao. I think if you're okay, do you still have time for 2 more questions? Like, it's very simple questions, but it's quite tricky. So the first one, for the two of you, what do you think if ASEAN has one currency, for example, like euro, like the euros, and one immigration policy like the Schengen visa or ASEAN visa? What's your perspectives on this, Mr. Zhao?
Wow, that's a very interesting question. I didn't think of that.
I get you off guard.
I'm trying to see the problems that we will have to overcome to reach that point. Because at least in Europe, the level of economy, it's already, at least the difference is not that big, like already mentioned, and I can tell you what, like, let's say if Timor-Leste is joining ASEAN, let's say, let's hope next year, we are only discuss about this disparity between countries, not yet disparity within the countries. We have a poverty rate, people living below poverty line is about 42%, and imagine and trying to address that situations, and imagine you have one currency, and what all these more developed countries like member of ASEAN has to deal with before we actually reach that level. And then I just cannot fathom the ideas of having one currency. Well, if you think about the future, when the ASEAN start to carry each other, bring each other up to a minimum level necessary to start to have that discussion then I think we can. I think it's always good to have that kind of vision for the future. But I think in the near future, I think we are still far from it. One is that members of ASEAN still, some already discuss about, the cloud, AI, interconnectivity through the cloud. Some are still trying to, maintain, how to ensure people are having food to eat, how to make sure road connect to people living in the rural areas. Like in Timor-Leste, we now, it's hot topic about Starlink, right? To bring internet connections to the community, particularly people in the remote areas. I think these are very good questions. I think something that ASEAN should aspire to have, because one currency make it more easier for mobility, connectivity among ASEAN members. I mean, remember about the e-wallet and all that, you discussed, I think, about how, I don't know, border pay, right? So you cross borders, you don't have to bring your cash, but you can just go and bring your phone and everything is I think Thailand and Singapore already implemented that. Yes. So I forgot what is the name, Pay Now or something. But anyway, I think that is a vision to have. It's a very important one. Thank you.
Interesting, Mr. Ahyari.
Yeah, it's I am shocked that you asked that question, but this is a very interesting question. And again, Mr. Joe, before I continue, that in Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, Singapore, and I think Philippines on board just now, that we have started implementing the interconnected QR payment since I think July or August this year. So whenever I go to Thailand, I can just tap my phone. Whenever I go to Malaysia, some not all merchants, but some merchant can use QR payment, Indonesian QR payment. I think Timor-Leste will joining soon. I hope so. Well, the idea of having single currency for ASEAN has been talked about since early 80s, since, several decades after the foundation of ASEAN. And I think it creates drawbacks because why? First, of course, there are potential benefit of the single currency of reduced transaction costs and enhanced financial stability, especially for the country that has been known for instability financially. But of course, for the thing is that increase regional influence. For example, now, if you go to England, for example, and you have rupiah, there is no way you can have a bank or money changer that will accept your rupiah and change to pound sterling. If you go to Germany, there is no way you can use rupiah and change to euro. There is no way. But for example, if you have a ASEAN single currency and you have a more influence financially, increase the regional economic clout on global stage, giving more a bargaining power in international trade and finance. But I think this is why well, I think most of the countries in ASEAN against single currency. One is loss of monetary sovereignty, loss of national pride. For example, Singapore, the strongest currency in the region, one of the strongest in the world. What? I have to give my sovereignty to Indonesian and Timor-Leste. Wait a minute, maybe they think so. And also, what is that? Singapore dollar, Malaysian ringgit, one of the strongest. Number two is increase economic vulnerability. For example, if you have a single currency is volatile. It's influenced by many other factors like trade, like imports, like inflation and such. For example, Indonesia suffer heavy inflations, and then the whole currency is affected. And Singaporean will say, I didn't do anything. Why the currency is going down? For example, that is why it's been a drawback since forever. Well, for me, of course, single currency is a thing, is something to aspire to, but I think it's still very far ahead of us. Number two is that I think it's more and more, currency is more and more irrelevant for now with the digital money and such. I think without currency, we can just go anywhere, such. I can use my Indonesian tap cash to go to Japan and go with the subways and the Shinkansen without having to do anything. Just tap, and then metro in New York, metro in Turkey, I can use the tap. That's how I think it's becoming more and more irrelevant. Number two is about the Schengen style visa. I think that has been discussed in Thailand. So Thailand, Laos, Cambodia, I think Malaysia, also four countries in Southeast Asia has been planning and discussing about Schengen-like visa. For example, if you are British, if you want to go to Thailand, you can only obtain one single visa, and you can go to 4 others. But I think Indonesia is against that. Singapore is against that for very many different reasons. But one of the things is because of the security concerns, of course, and then immigration concern, of course. And some countries might, concern about the potential influx of immigrants. Maybe many Myanmar going to Timor-Leste without being invited and such, and we don't know. But I think that's the concern why Schengen-like visa is not yet being implemented in Indonesia. One day, if Timor-Leste economy is as strong as Singapore economy, Indonesian economy is as strong as Singapore economy, maybe we can implement that without further ado. Thank you, Mr. Reza. Thank you, Mr. Chow.
Thank you so much. And this is the last question. It's very easy. Since the two of you from Indonesia and Timor-Leste, would you express your sort of dreams and hopes, what Indonesians and what Timorese can do to strengthen its bilateral partnership, apart from ASEAN, but like how we can, of course, like develop and build our own partnership in the near foreseeable future. I mean, like in the past 20 plus years, of course, like we've been intensifying a lot of partnerships in all sectors, but across the board. But again, like in the next probably 25 years, what do you think we can do to make it even stronger, Mr. Job?
Look, what is more stronger than having a very strong relations now after our previous past, I think the relations between Indonesia and Timor-Leste is a model for the world. The countries that used to be in conflict, and now they are building the strong relations and cooperations to build, for common development. And I think that is already a model for the world to follow. I think, major import countries for Timor-Leste is Indonesia. That is so you don't have to be part of I don't know, ASEAN, or you don't have to think about having that trade agreement, or in Timor-Leste already built that trade partnership with Indonesia since day one. Because Timor-Leste understand that we still lack the we are like an import dependent country. So because there is lack of productions of basic needs in the country, so we import mostly. And who is our closest neighbor? Indonesia, of course. That's one. Second one, we share the land border, like you mentioned, Atambua, Kupang. Third one, we speak the same language already. Many people in even though young people here, they are taught in Portuguese, but when they go out there, they speak Indonesia, the latest, the slang,
Wow.
Lo, gua. They watch a lot of Sinetron. Okay, they watch a lot of Sinetron. Sometimes I don't know who. Recently, there was this artist visited Timor-Leste for 28 November. I think Mas Ari knows the the person, he is a very famous. No, I don't want to call him a comedian, but used to like I forgot his name. He visited, everybody knows him, you know. But if you ask someone from, let's say, Singapore or famous from Malaysia, the Timorese. But if you start to talk about celebrity in Indonesia, many Timorese, particularly young people, know. That's one. Another one is that we send a lot of students to Indonesia, and it tells you where our future aspiration lies. You know, because we understand Indonesia, we share the history, we share the culture, the language. So and so to build that further cooperation and partnership, education is the way to go. Many of the political leaders in these countries used to study in Indonesia. So I can only see that there is a further strengthening of cooperation and relation between Indonesia and Timor-Leste, because the future leaders now, most of them used to be in Indonesia pursuing their higher education, and many are now still in Indonesia pursuing their higher education. So I can only see that not strengthening, but expanding our cooperation into different sectors.
That's the correct word
Yes.
to use. Yeah.
Thank you.
Interesting. Thank you, Mr. Joe. Mr. Ahyari.
Yeah, last one. I hope this is really the last one. Well, I think I will see that Indonesia and Timor-Leste will have a more thriving economic partnership, you know, with more Indonesians, corporates, Indonesian investors coming to Timor-Leste to build infrastructure, agriculture, and tourism sector and such. You know, Timor-Leste, very delicious coffee and other products find niche market, a large market in Indonesia, while maybe Indonesian expertise can help Indonesia, Timor-Leste develops the human capital and digital economy. Well, one is that. Number two is, I think I would say that in the future, you know, Timor-Leste will be one of the popular tourism destination for Indonesians, especially those who want to, you know, accept their adventure soul. They want to feel the different vibe of overseas countries and such. And secondly, and number third is cultural fusion. You know, I think there is still a little bit of not distrust, a little bit of, you know, we don't know each other a lot. We don't know each other much yet, you know. Like, for example, I know people from Jakarta a lot. I know from people from Malaysia, but not yet to Timorese. I think that will be addressed through a personal connections. Intermarriage, for example, becomes common. Another Krisdayanti and who's Ramos? Raul Ramos, you know, more than that, you know, creating families that bridge the two cultures. That is very possible. And Timor-Leste are not big, yes, small. You know, Indonesians province marry in the whole Timor-Leste, and that's possible also. So that's how the stronger bonds, kinship, the understanding, the children of these unions in the future grow into an inseparable union between Indonesia and Timor-Leste. And I really looking forward to visit Timor-Leste next year with Mas Reza. And inshallah, we'll meet you and drink the best Timor-Leste coffee in Delhi.
I'm so looking forward to that. All right. So again, thank you so much, Mr. Joe and Mr. Ahyari, for your time and for your insightful insights, interesting discussion, and your thoughts and your intellectuals that you share with us this afternoon in Jakarta and then in Timor-Leste with audience exceeding 2,000 viewers, not only Indonesia, Timor-Leste, but also Southeast Asian countries and beyond. Again, thank you so much. This is our regular monthly online podcast discussion featuring people, experts, public figures in Southeast Asian countries, but also from other countries as well. If you know or if you have any any friends, any colleagues in Timor-Leste that you would like us to invite to our podcast, just let us know, because it will be our honor to have more people representing Timor-Leste on our podcast in the near future. Again, kawan GNFI and also ASEANs, wherever you are, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you so much for watching, and thank you for your beautiful, beautiful comments and questions. And I'll see you again on our next podcast next month. Take care. Have a wonderful evening wherever you are. And Mr. Zhao, in the future, you tell us what's going to happen. It's going to be beautiful, or it's going to be too beautiful. All right. Have a nice evening in Dili and Surabaya. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you, Joe. See you. Bye-bye. Assalamualaikum.
Everyone. Good to talk to you again, Mas Ari. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you. Talk to you again. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.